In the quiet, picturesque town of Rosewood, life moved at a slow and predictable pace. Nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, it was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, but behind its charm lay an unspoken division. The wealthy lived in mansions atop the hill, shielded by high gates and manicured lawns. The poor, like Maria Lopez, worked in the valley below, cleaning, cooking, and serving those they could never truly call equals. Maria was a housemaid, a simple woman with calloused hands and a kind heart. She had no family of her own. Her parents had passed away years ago, leaving her to survive by working long, grueling hours in the homes of Rosewood's elite. For years, she had been employed by the Harrington family, one of the richest and most powerful families in the state. Charles Harrington, the patriarch, was a man of influence, a shipping magnate whose wealth had built half the town. People admired him in public but whispered about his temper and shady business dealings in private. Maria had grown fond of Eleanor Harrington, Charles's wife, who always treated her with warmth and respect. But their only son, Michael Harrington, was another story. He was arrogant, entitled, and cruel to those he considered beneath him, including Maria. It was a humid summer evening when Maria's life took a turn she could never have imagined. She had stayed late to finish cleaning the study, a room Charles never let anyone touch except her. As she dusted the shelves, she heard angry voices echoing through the hallway. She froze. It was Charles and Michael. "You're reckless, Michael," Charles barked. "You think you can throw money at your mistakes, but you're ruining everything I've built." Michael shot back. "I'm not living in your shadow anymore, Dad. This company will be mine, whether you like it or not." Maria's heart pounded as the argument escalated. Suddenly, there was a loud crash, followed by a chilling silence. When Maria peeked through the cracked study door, her blood ran cold. Charles Harrington lay at the bottom of the staircase, motionless. Michael stood above him, his chest heaving, eyes wide with shock and guilt. "Dad." "No, no, no," Michael whispered, his voice trembling. Then he turned and saw Maria. "You didn't see anything," he hissed, his face twisted with desperation. Maria's voice caught in her throat. She wanted to run, to scream, to help Charles, but fear rooted her to the floor. Within minutes, Michael called 911. When the police arrived, he told them the same story. Charles Harrington had tragically fallen down the stairs. The detectives believed him. After all, who would suspect the grieving heir of killing his own father? Maria couldn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling in her tiny rented room, the image of Charles's lifeless body haunting her. Should she tell the truth? Or should she stay silent, like Michael wanted? If she testified, she risked everything. Michael was powerful. He could destroy her life with a single phone call. But if she stayed quiet, an innocent man's death would be erased as an accident. The next morning, detectives came to question her. Maria hesitated, her hands trembling as she served them tea. "We heard you were in the house that night," one detective said gently. "Did you see anything?" Maria looked at her worn shoes, tears welling in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "I saw everything." Maria's statement rocked Rosewood. The Harrington family was furious. Michael's expensive lawyers painted her as a liar, claiming she was a bitter servant, seeking money and attention. The wealthy sided with Michael. To them, Maria was just a poor maid who should have known her place. Reporters flooded the town. Headlines read, "Housemaid accuses heir of patricide." Maria became a target of whispers, insults, even threats. "Do you really think anyone will believe you?" One of Michael's supporters sneered at her in the market. But Maria stood her ground. "I saw what I saw," she said softly, "and I won't lie to protect a murderer." Months later, the trial began. The courthouse was packed to the brim. Michael sat confidently in an expensive suit, flanked by his lawyers. He smirked at Maria as she entered the courtroom in her simple dress and worn shoes. When it was her turn to testify, Maria's hands shook as she took the oath. "Miss Lopez," the prosecutor asked, "please tell the court what happened on the night of June 17th. Maria swallowed hard. The room was silent. "I've worked for the Harrington family for 8 years," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "That night, I heard Mr. Harrington and Michael arguing. When I looked, I saw Michael push his father down the stairs. I will never forget the sound of Mr. Harrington hitting the ground. I know what I saw. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Michael's smirk faltered. His lawyers attacked her credibility, hurling insults disguised as questions. You're just a maid, aren't you? You hated Michael, didn't you? No, Maria replied, her voice steadier now. But I loved the man he killed, and I will not lie for him. Then came the moment no one expected. The prosecutor revealed security camera footage from the Harrington estate, a camera Maria hadn't even known existed. The grainy video played for the entire courtroom to see. It showed Michael shoving his father in a fit of rage. The room erupted in gasps. Michael's face drained of color. His lawyers stared in stunned silence. Judge Thompson banged his gavel, demanding order. He looked at Maria, his eyes softening. Miss Lopez, he said firmly, this town owes you a debt of gratitude. You stood up for justice when no one else would. Your courage has changed everything. Tears streamed down Maria's face. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, not as a poor maid, but as a woman who mattered. The jury found Michael Harrington guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Eleanor Harrington, grief-stricken but grateful, embraced Maria after the verdict. Thank you, Eleanor whispered. You gave my husband the justice he deserved. The media hailed Maria as a hero. Donations poured in from strangers across the country, inspired by her bravery. Maria never sought fame or fortune. Standing outside the courthouse, reporters crowded around her, shoving microphones in her face. I didn't do this for attention, Maria said softly. I did it because the truth matters. No one is above the law, not even the powerful. Her words spread across the nation. Editorials praised her integrity. Schools shared her story to teach students about courage, justice, and standing up for what is right, even when you're alone. With the donations she received, Maria started a foundation for domestic workers, giving them access to legal help and education about their rights. She became a voice for the voiceless, a symbol of quiet courage in a world that often ignored people like her. Years later, Maria still lives simply. She never let fame or money change her. One day she received a letter from a young girl who had read her story. You showed me that even people like us can be heroes, the girl wrote. Thank you for proving that the truth matters. Maria smiled as tears filled her eyes. She realized that true power didn't come from wealth or status. And in that courtroom, on that unforgettable day, she had changed everything. Not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been told their voice didn't matter. Rosewood was never the same again. For the first time, the powerful realized they couldn't buy their way out of justice. And the poor? They now had a hero, a quiet housemaid who proved that even the smallest voice can bring the greatest change. And that was the heartbreaking testimony of Maria Lopez, a housemaid whose quiet courage shattered the silence and shook the walls of power. In a courtroom full of wealth and intimidation, her voice trembled, but it echoed with truth and changed everything. What did you feel hearing her story? Do you believe justice was truly served? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful narratives that remind us of the strength in every voice. Until next time, stay informed, stay brave, and never underestimate the power of one person standing up for what's right.